Hey folks, we are back with part 2 of episode 4 of the Doskvol Circulation War. We have just gone through an engagement role because the party has decided it is time to meet Ulf Ironborn, a particularly notorious Skov notable in Coleridge, at Ulf's sort of co-opted personal bar. So this should be an interesting one. Luckily, the engagement roll was a success, a good success. 6 was rolled, so well done on that. So things won't start off too bad, but let's see. So we begin in the Black Tree. The party is sat in front of a long wooden table. It's clearly like supposed to be one where 8 people can sit aside kind of thing, like one of those long feast tables. This heavy dark wood, and you're all sat on one side, and on the other side is a man you've never met before, but I do have an image reference because I know exactly what he looks like. So who here has seen the series Vikings?
I've seen like 3 episodes.
I was
Okay.
gonna say I actually did Google searched him. And
Okay.
when I saw him, I was like, "Oh boy!"
Yeah. So
Oh dear.
my headcanon on stream now is the actor who plays Halfdan the Black, in pretty much this same costume. The only difference is the actual clothing is a far nicer make. And anywhere that there's bits of metal, they are sewn in little pieces of gold. And Ulf looks to be probably not a particularly wealthy person, but everything he owns, he forces it down your throat, right? Like you can't escape what wealth he does have. And he's definitely he's a man used to taking what he wants, and basically destroying things in the process to get it. And he's sat on the other side of the table from the 4 of you, and a server has come in and taken I'm guessing you asked for drinks before you came in, and they're coming in to put them down in front of everyone, and Ulf, when it comes down in front of him, he looks at the server, and the cup goes down in front of him, and he picks it up and toasts in front of you, and then has a sip, basically waiting for you to introduce yourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I'll toast as well. Is there, does he do a vocal toast, or is it just like a cheers, kind of thing?
He doesn't say anything.
Okay, I'll say, I'll say a thing that Skovlan say when they're drinking, I don't know, is it Skol, or, Nostravia, or whatever,
Yeah, I'm not sure what language sort of basis are we going here, because Skov can be I've seen it interpreted as being Nordic all the way through to Scottish, and Irish, and obviously there's the Slavic part of it as well. So
I mean, maybe it's a whole country, right? So I guess there could be different parts of it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I based Sabine's name on like a Danish name, I think it was. So I mean, I guess I'm coming at it more from that angle. But then Seneca is, for instance, is like sounds like quite Finnish. So maybe we even have totally different like things.
Yeah, I like it.
Regional differences. Yeah. So like I'll do like a toast that's like and say the thing in Skov. Would that be the language?
Yeah, it's Skov. Yeah.
Yeah, that is like
Something equivalent to like cheers to good health or something.
yeah, something along those lines. Like it's like drink deep or something.
Yeah. So you say that, and in response he says salud, and then takes a drink.
Cool. I'll drink.
And he doesn't say anything after that. Like he sort of waits for you, with a bit of like a not a disdainful look on his face, but a kind of like a, what do you want? Who's gonna volunteer first?
Stavros like arranging the board games on the table, making sure the stack doesn't fall apart so that people don't realize it's just hollow all the way down.
It's Ulf's all the way down.
Like at this point, Kane's just like fiddling with the glass, like almost like kind of like tapping it, kind of pushing it around, basically just trying to purposely distract themselves.
I mean, sorry, you go.
Yeah, and like sort of, Kane's just realizing really out of their element here. So,
like Seneca and Sabine like look at each other.
yeah.
I actually, like, after I share that glance with Sabine, because, like, I'm taking, like, very genteel sips of my drink, and then I reach across the table for, like, a small bunch of grapes, put a grape in my mouth, and I kick Kane underneath the table.
Classic Seneca move, playing footsies already.
Jumped a bit and my drink little jumps, and I'm just like, you're basically just toying with me.
Okay. So I guess that's happening. And Sabine like rolls her eyes because she thinks this is flirting or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like, my name's Sabine. We've recently arrived in the neighborhood. Had a little falling out with some old friends of ours, and we were wanting to set up shop here. Word on the street is that you're the person to you're the person to come chat to and let you know that we're here. We don't want to run afoul of you, and you seem like you know your way around town, have some sway here. So
You could say that. You could say that. Where did this word come from?
I mean, do people just generally know about Ulf? Or like...
People do, but he wants you to tell him. Like he wants to know who's talking.
Oh,
he doesn't seem to be like, who told you about me? It's more like
he wants his ego to be strong.
Yeah, and he's puffing himself up a little bit and like leaning forward and
everyone's heard your name, but I was down at this club recently called Resonance, talking to my man Jurgen. Old guy, I knew him back in the Unity War, and he had a lot to say, all positive.
Well, I mustn't be doing my job right then. Well. Resonance. Not heard of it.
That's not in Coleridge, is it?
No, it's in Night Market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a weird place. Some kind of new music. I always forget the name of it. What is it, Stavril?
It's echo music, but I think Stavril says some sort of like subgenre of it.
Yeah.
It's echo wave.
Mm-hmm.
So he like
Echo core.
his the corner of his mouth like peaks up as if like he's disgusted with the idea of whatever this genre is, even though he probably doesn't know it. And then nods and says, "You heard correctly. I am a good man to know. I'm a good man to be on the right side of. What are you here to do? What do you want from my streets?"
A better question to ask is, what do you want your streets to have?
Ooh.
Willing customers, submissive locals, all the comforts of home. And he stares at you after this, like waiting for you to to pretty much to answer his question. Like he's like,
What are we? He wants to know what we do. What's our thing? Yeah. Well, we've got a couple of things. I like pull out like one of our erotica publications. Like we write and like slide it across the table.
Okay, so what's like? I mean, you don't have to go too deep into it, but what's this one about? Because he would actually like, he picks it up and reads it, like real quick, like scanning.
Yeah, it's called the I can't believe how much of a nerd I am making a reference like this, but it's like the saucy Skov. Which is like it's this world's version of the lusty Argonian or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awful. So does it basically follow the same pattern as the lusty Argonian? Okay.
Yeah.
So he picks it up, and then puts it back down, and sort of forgets about it, and then like waits for you to continue to talk.
Yeah. Also, we've got some issues with some of the bosses around here and the way that they kind of run things. So we write some other stuff as well, stuff to give people a little bit of fire.
So when you kind of said when people work around here, Kane's kind of like stop touching the glass that Kane's holding on to, and just says, "We're fed up. You ever worked like 12-hour days in those kind of factories? I'm fucking tired of it."
So
and he says it in a way that's like not meant to be social, like not meant to convince or anyone. He's almost just kind of like ranting out loud.
So he when you say that, he like puts his hands up on the table like this, in front of him, and you can see that like his hands are rough, and they're clearly used to some kind of work, but they're not like dirty. They're not stained in the way that you'd expect like laborers' hands to be. His knuckles are heavily calloused, and you can see that like they show signs of having been broken and cracked over the years, and his fingers are like covered in gold rings, and you can tell that no, he has never worked. He's not a man who works. He's a man who has just, by dint of either his circumstance or his particular brand of skills and viciousness, he's never needed to, because he just takes. So when you say like to give them a bit of fire because you're fed up and the people are fed up, he quirks an eyebrow at that and says, personally, I like to remove the cares of this world in other ways. And frankly, if you're here to put fire in their bellies and give them purpose, I think we're at odds. I'm not sure we can work together.
And why is that? Like, you know, she like the answer's probably obvious, but again, like he did, she just wants him to say it.
And he smiles and says, my trade is a different sort of fire, something to burn away your troubles and put people to rest. I'm a healer, you understand. I'm here to make everyone feel the warmth of hearth and home and let them put their feet up.
It's hard to do that when they kept under the heel by fucking Doskvol industrialists.
And he nods. That's true. The people of Coleridge don't have quite as much money as I would have hoped. You can squeeze a stone, but if there's nothing in it, you just get more stones, right?
That's how the saying goes.
And he doesn't know that you're like, you know, making a bit of a joke at his expense with the like he nods as if like, yes, it is. I got that correct. Kind of like, you know, and he nods and says, perhaps we could work together. What would you want in return?
I think what like I said, you're someone who's good to know. You're someone who is influential around here. We want to be here, you know, doing our thing, and, you know, we don't want you guys having to worry about us. We don't want to worry about you. We want to be neighbors. You know, if something gets tough for one of us, maybe we can look out for the other one. But if there's some kind of business we can do together, we can do business. And we'd appreciate hearing about any news that's happening around the place, and we can keep you in the loop too.
Okay.
Mutually beneficial.
Yeah. So Ulf's going to. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to pop a consequence on you here, and you can choose to resist it if you want, but. Essentially, what Ulf does is when you say, you know, we're neighbors and we can, you know, watch out for each other and stuff like that. Ulf essentially puts forward the fact that you know where he operates, even though you're not necessarily sure this is his HQ. You know that this is like where he hangs out, right? You now know where he operates, so. If we're neighbors, you know, like...
He needs to know where we operate,
yeah,
right?
exactly. So he's going to put you into a situation where if you don't tell him where your lair is right now, you're, like, the situation's going to get much worse. So basically what you can do here is resist that, get out of it in some way. You can tell him where your lair is. Or you can make the situation get much worse by not telling him.
Yeah. I mean, do people have a preference? My thought was we could like resist by telling him about the factory, because that's where we're selling shit.
I say that we do like a misguided, like resist, like as in we're telling him, you know, we mostly work in the factories. Like, we're not telling him where we're based, but we're telling him where our source is based.
Yeah.
Because we're and then like if something goes, we can like, oh, we thought that's what you meant.
Bite isn't the answer.
Isn't that also what's most important is where we operate?
Yeah, all right.
Who's rolling?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I mean,
So
who's the one who speaks up, I guess?
yeah. Who's gonna fill in this blank that he's sort of leaving there for you?
Hyrex, I feel.
Jesus.
Must protect.
I mean, I'm happy to, but I feel like I've been kind of monopolizing the camera, so...
Axel did. Because just to paint this picture as clearly as possible, she's just been like eating grapes sexily in the corner. And then she gets up and crosses the table as she walks around the table. And sits on the edge of the table right next to Ulf. And I'm presuming that he still has his hands like this?
Oh, so as you come around, he's still like looking at you, and still with his hands up on the table, and he's waiting for you to say something basically, but he's now staring directly at you.
So I sit at the edge of the table, and I slide my hand through like the steeple of his hands, and I'm like caressing his palm gently. What the fuck am I telling him at this moment? Because I'm trying not to be naughty immediately. You speak about home a lot, and I get the sense that your people are your home, that we, your siblings from Skovlan, are people you care about very deeply. People you would be willing to do almost anything to make happy. And I personally appreciate that you speak so much about healing, because we consider ourselves a kind of healer as well. We're here to treat the kinds of terrible wounds that these fucking bastards have forced on us in work. And I think that both of us can, and at this moment, I just squeeze his hand just a little bit, and I say, I feel like both of us can trade in that healing mutually if you let us.
Okay, so this is a resistance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is definitely resisting with resolve. So perform that resistance, and then I will respond as he's gonna respond.
What the fuck do I click again?
So you click on resolve itself. So on your sheet, click on resolve, and then that will tell you how many bonus dice. And there are none for this.
Okay. So submit.
So you're taking 6 minus 5, so you take 1 stress by doing this. So nicely resisted. But so like Seneca's hand, like, traces the inside of his palm. And the whole time he's just been like looking at you, looking in your eyes, like no shift in his demeanor at all. But he drops his hands and like moves them to the side, and then stands up, like sort of just pushes past you, like you would have to get out of the road for him, and then like looks at you and gets like really close in your face and says, "Sorry, love, you're barking up the wrong tree with this one. But I appreciate the sentiment." And he like walks out from behind his chair and and then like walks around the table and walks behind the rest of you. So now you're the one like sitting where he was, right? Pretty much, and he's on the other side of the table. And what's like the seating order?
I'm on the far end.
You're on.
I'm on the other far end.
Okay.
I feel like Sabine and Seneca kind of like were next. I felt like he was in the middle, and you two were the next, and like he split us apart by just like.
Yeah, sure.
And we're on each end.
Okay, so
I just want to say, while that's happening,
yeah.
I take one of the grapes in my hand, and as surreptitiously as possible, I throw it at Kane.
It kind of like hits me, and I flinch, and I'm just like,
Oh, at Kane.
Yeah.
I thought you said at him. And I,
Fuck you.
I was like, he's just got like a grape in his hoodie that he hasn't noticed. He spends all night walking around with it.
Yeah, and as Kane flinches, like I just share this intense gaze, like my eyes are wide, as if I'm silently sending a signal. Talk to the man.
Yeah, and so that happens, and he comes around the side and puts a hand on like Kane's shoulder and Sabine's shoulder, and like claps onto to both of them, like standing behind, and he seems to have forgotten his point that, right, you know, as neighbors, you should be, you know, you should each know where the other lives, or at least, you know, spends their time. And he says, I'm willing to make your time in Coleridge a bit easier. Perhaps we can just avoid each other, or perhaps we can work together. You say that you're selling to the workers, yes?
That's right.
How are you getting your product in?
At the moment, we've got a couple of contacts. We haven't been here long. We're getting stuff in by hand, but we need more feet on the ground.
All right. I can get you more feet on the ground. It's no problem at all. I can get you feet on the ground wherever you need them. What I need from you, you're firing these people up, right? Make them focus on the money. Have them squeeze every coin, clank, clinker, everything that they can from those bastards above them. Get them flush with coin, and then, well, they'll be wealthier, right?
Yeah.
And everyone
And
profits.
you'll be wealthier too, of course. Benefits all of us.
Can you do that?
The common good.
Can you do that? Can you rabble-rouse in that way?
I look to the others.
I was gonna say, at this point, like, Kane's kind of like interpreted the stares and like, God, you need to talk. You look like you're about to throw up. And Kane kind of like, again, Kane has these moments where like they'll be assertive and they'll say something aloud. It won't necessarily be good. It'll be just passionately what Kane is feeling in that time. And Kane is just kind of like, this is what we're good at. We can
And I signal to Kane in that moment, like I'm just putting my hand on my shoulder as if to say, touch the man's hand.
And and then like kind of like I've tried to like kind of look at you just like, kind of like I've just kind of come out of my shell to say this, and the last thing I want to do is get even closer to this man who has a very threatening hand on my shoulder that could probably crush it despite my size.
Well, I think that Ulf needs convincing here. Kane, do you think that this is you swaying? or like, you know, trying to bring Ulf around? Because I think Ulf's problem here is he's going to be committing resources to what you want, right? He needs to know that you're confident that you're going to get it back, right? That there's going to be a return, right?
I mean, he's like a drug dealer or something, right? Like,
Kind of.
Or something, yeah.
yeah.
I love the idea of like trying to sound overconfident and perhaps bringing Slane into this and going, you heard of someone called Slane? You might want to check in with them. Give it 2 weeks. And it's almost to say, like, if you're not sure, watch and wait to see what we can do to somebody that isn't taking them down, but is taking them down in other ways.
Sabine, like, looks at Seneca.
Yeah.
I don't, and, like, internally, it's like, I don't think we discussed seducing Slane, but it's just like, you know, that's what she's thinking.
Yeah. And I think at one point, I think like there should be some sort of kind of like no, Kane, we don't mention our targets like this. Like we don't give away our game plan like that.
We can discuss that later. I think this is great. Is this a group action or like or something like that?
I mean, it can be.
Yeah.
But
I feel like it's Kane's.
yeah. I feel like this is a Kane. Is it a sway or a consort?
I feel like it's sway because it's bluffing a bit, right?
Sway someone with charm, logic, deception, disguise, or bluff. Change attitudes or behaviors with manipulation or seduction. And consort with connections from your heritage, background, friends, or rivals to gain access to resources, information, people, or places. I think it's sway. You're trying to convince him of...
Like I'm not being deceptive.
No.
I'm like kind of like just being overconfident.
Yes.
And hoping that sort of like connects with him.
Okay, so I think this is a sway. I definitely can see here one of your crew helping. It would make the most sense to me that Nyrix is the one helping.
Nudge came to say something.
And I also think that there's a very obvious devil's bargain in this. You've dropped Slane's name, right? And Ulf doesn't give a shit about you, yet at least. So if you don't meet up to what you're claiming here, like, you know, you're gonna knock Slane around a little bit in a sec, Ulf's just gonna sell you out straight to Slane and just be like, yeah, it was these folks. I don't necessarily know where they are, but I know that they're operating here, and you know, so Ulf's just gonna.
If he doesn't get a return on his investment, he'll just sell us back.
Just
And
straight
I think
away.
that's the risk we all knew we were taking. Although Kane's just made it really more real and
Yeah.
with more consequence because we've name dropped.
Well, that's
and-
fine. That's fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Take the devil's bargain.
I've got to take it. I can't say no
Okay.
to that. I absolutely cannot.
this is risky. Because of who you're invoking here.
Yeah.
And this is standard effect. However, I can totally easily see this, you trading position for effect here. If you like boast and say how you're going to take down Slane, you know, giving Ulf all of the ammunition he needs just to like that if you screw with him right now, then you'll have great effect, right? Because if he knows how you're planning to pick him apart, then he'll be more impressed with your gusto.
I think it's kind of interesting because I don't think at this point in time we have a major clear plan, and if
You don't.
no,
I mean,
and if I did start saying something, I'd be super inconsistent, and it would probably sound really obvious I didn't know what I was talking about.
it's possible that our characters have a plan and we just don't have a plan as players.
That's
Yes,
true.
that is true. Yeah.
Um,
Because, I mean, you do have 3 ticks on dig up dirt on slain, right? So
Yeah.
that means that you don't yet have something to actually cause pain for slain.
Yeah.
Good lord. But you're getting there. You're right on the trail of something that's gonna like tighten the screws a little bit for him.
and
I also, I just like the idea of being almost boastily, being almost like cocky, mysterious, kind of like we've got our ways, just watch,
Sure.
and kind of being more impressed by the fact that we've done something impressive that isn't necessarily the kind of way that he would go about it, but it's still really effective.
you could like drop the information that Stavro got from the doing research. Like, what was it that there was something about his family?
What was that? Shoot.
Yeah.
It's not.
yeah.
It's not if he's a vampire. He's not a vampire or something. Is
No.
No.
It's that the Slane's family, they were like old money, but they fell out of favor. And Slane has somehow, like in just the one generation, brought back a lot of that to like a lot of that acclaim to the family. But like you don't know how yet.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem above board. Like
Yeah.
social mobility isn't that quick in
Yeah.
In Duskwall, especially without doing some like crew level seedy shit. So like
Yeah.
So if you wanted to, you could both be mysterious and drop a hint in like, oh, you know, there's people have some questions about his family fortune or something like that. You know, you don't have to. It's just one option.
Yeah, but I don't know if like being that kind of vague and dropping a hint would still push me to have great effect.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So I feel like I could still do that, but have a standard effect.
yeah, sure. Sure.
So I like giving away a little bit, but I think pushing it to great would be very much overconfidence to the point where it just wouldn't make sense.
It would fall down. Yeah, fair enough.
It just wouldn't work.
Okay. So, you've... How many dice do you have here? Are you taking that devil's bargain?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Taking the devil's bargain. So you've got the +1 bonus die.
Correct.
Seneca, are you helping here with all of your little like unspoken notes across the table? Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Helping.
So
Helping. Well, like trying to watch me be in an uncomfortable situation, having fun.
so you
Celine's distracted from what's going on. That's why she's not helping, because she's trying to like interpret the glances going between
yeah.
instead of actually contributing.
So you take the stress, Seneca, and you get an extra die, Kane, and then let's see that roll. So risky.
That's 2 bonus die.
Yeah, risky standard 2 bonus dice sway.
Okay, I think I've done this right.
Hey. Yes.
Nice. Okay, so, okay, so Ulf doesn't notice all of the eyes that Nyrix is giving Kane, and seems to be like, you know, hand on either shoulder, and seems to be like getting down close to Kane and like really getting in Kane's face a little bit like uncomfortably, and has clearly, you know, zeroed Kane out as being the uncomfortable, unconfident one of the group, and he's like trying to push Kane into this, like, you know, boast, go over the top, you know, like do your bravado, step up to me, and then, you know, we can go at it or whatever. and but then how does Kane turn it around? How does Kane actually be convincing here?
It's kind of interesting. Kane's not super very convincing unless they know a little about what they're talking about.
Does he do something spooky? I can totally imagine Ulf being like, you know, kind of a bit superstitious, and if like Kane like kind of somehow conveyed that, oh, I'm, you know, in touch with the world beyond or something, you know, like.
Let me just check what I'm kind of currently kitted with. One sec. I think I have some spooky things with me. Might convince him.
Because remember, this doesn't need to be like additional action. This is like you playing out this action, having succeeded, sort of thing.
Yeah. I kind of like, I think I reach into my pocket and I pull out my little spirit bottle, and I'm just kind of like turning it around in my palm, and I turn to him and I kind of go, I don't know the person you pinned me for, but this stuff, this writing, this news, this, it's what I know, and it's what I'm good at. So when we say we are going to get something done, we will. And you can kind of see the spirit in the bottle has started to kind of like flicker like a lot. Like as in like it's meeting the energy, because this is the one thing that if I, like, even though I've been scarred from the literal thing across my neck, I'm still good at messing with the elements of supernatural knowledge. And if there's going to be one thing that's going to ground me, it's this. So even having this in front of me sort of relaxes me a bit.
It makes you feel confident, right? And convicted.
Yeah. And because it's like a lot of people don't deal with supernatural stuff. So when I have this in front of me, I know that generally I'm playing into an advantage. That's the one. I can't whip it out at a bar and go, hey, check out my spirit vial to give me confidence.
Is that what they call it in like the Shattered Islands or wherever it is?
Spirit vial. But it's something that like, and I don't look at him. I look at him.
I think I broke the head.
I'm kind of just like watching this, but I also just can't keep this up. Okay.
No, beautiful. Okay, no, that definitely works. That definitely works. So Ulf like looks at you the whole time, and his eyes are narrowing and getting like, you know, getting more conniving, and everyone else, like, because, you know, Kane's a little too close to be properly seeing this, right? Like Kane's looking away, playing with the spirit vial, like, you know, given the spiel, but everyone else can see Ulf's like eyes sort of doing that, not in the confused way, but in a calculating way, doing that, like the meme of like looking around, like calculating shit, right? He's starting to build in his mind, like, you know, his ambitions. And he stops and nods, and then like releases the two of you, and then puts his hands on the side of Kane's head, and then just like kisses the top of Kane's hair, and then like sort of pushes you back, and then claps and says, "Excellent. Well, let's have a drink to celebrate, shall we?" And then comes around, like goes back to walk around the side of the table. Now, if anyone else wants to do anything else in this scene, feel free to. If not, I think the next scene cuts to whatever your plan is, like basically a linked score off this. Whatever your plan is to uncover shit on Slain, at least to get that next tick and the first tick in Slain's pain, and to try and build up the wages of the workers for not exactly good reasons.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just like to react to.
Yeah, sure. So
When he gets me in the forehead and kind of pushes me back, I am red as Kane is normally, because I'm gone from like super confident to like that immediate physical contact is just like, and I put the bottle down and like instead of flickering, the bottle like, it was like a kind of a flickering blue, kind of just turns pink.
Beautiful.
And Lyric just winks at you.
Beautiful.
Know your time. And I'm
Like,
go
yeah.
down.
if we don't, like, if no one else wants to do anything in that scene, like, Savina's absolutely going to say something to everyone as they're walking
Yeah.
off, which is like, we're definitely going to have to murder him at some point.
At some point, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just that with no, like, humor or irony or malice or anything. It's just a statement of fact.
Yeah, naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally. Excellent. Okay. Which brings us to our linked score. So let's go back to the planning. And what are we going to do? So this is as a linked score. This happens sort of as a part of the same score that we're doing, but it is a completely new score phase going in here. And then at the end of it, we will find out the results of sort of both, because technically the first score hasn't ended. This middle score is the score, right? I know I've said the word score a lot, but does that make sense?
Kind of.
Okay, so
So
if
do we roll engagement again?
we will do another engagement, yeah, and we'll go through the normal cadence. We'll find out what kind of plan it is and the detail into it, and then we'll do an engagement roll and go from there. And you can change your item loadout if you would like to.
Sure.
So, the just so everyone's clear, what Ulf is hoping from this, what Ulf's hoping for you to do to assure his help, is to somehow show up slain to prove that your confidence is warranted, and to in some way make motions towards the wages increasing for the people of Coleridge. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to achieve that here, but you need to show that you are serving his interests as well as proving that you are you do what you say, right?
Yeah.
So, how would you like to do that? How would you like to achieve those goals?
I have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, like, in Doskvol, they don't have, like, modern labor relations stuff, but, like, do people who work in factories, do they, like, in this kind of, like, industrial revolution period, do they sign contracts? Or, like, or do they just show up and, like, someone's like, hey, okay, you have a job now?
Yeah,
Like,
it's you show up every day and there is
Yeah.
an amount of work that the foreman has, and they call out how many people they need, and generally they will have regulars, like, you know, I can't remember the name of the girl who it is one of your cohorts now. Weaver, yeah.
Weaver, yeah. Cool.
Like, Weaver would be known to Slane's goons as being a reliable child, and therefore is someone that they often hire, right?
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be done based on like a standard rate. They probably just say, like, you know, we pay you X a day, show up, and if you show up, we might give you a job.
Is Slane the, like, manager or the owner of a factory?
Slane is the general manager.
Yeah.
So Slane works for I think they're called Dunville and Co.
Okay.
The Dunville Company. So Slane works for the Dunville Company, and is the general manager of these factories, like the General Dunville Company factories in Coleridge, but does not own them, but is the person in charge of the foremen who run the place.
Yeah. What I would like to do is this might be quite tricky, but what I think would be really cool and effective is if we break into Dunville and Co. or whatever and steal copies of their board minutes from, I assume it's like a family company, but like, you know, they're like the decision makers meeting minutes, and we forge, like we edit them or forge new ones that say the board was like, out of the charity of their hearts, decided to raise wages for all employees. And then we leak it to the media and say that Slane like didn't pass that on and he's been taking kickbacks. Now, Dunville and Co., they're going to know that's not real, but they're going to make Slane take the fall, because if it goes to the media...
Christ. Oh,
Holy shit.
God.
I'm so torn in this moment. Because Seneca Prime would be really upset. But Pirates is fucking entertained.
This is kind of interesting in one hand, because I don't. Is it weird to perhaps say that this is something? No, actually, you know what? Fuck it. No, fuck it. You know what? I think we've broken that whole like. Do we have like tangible boundaries of morals to eventually achieve the morals that we want? I think we've broken that already. Fuck it.
Oh yeah,
I'm on board with this.
Like, I mean, yeah, as a group, I mean, yeah, we'll find out. Like, for the sake of openness, like, Sabine is fully, like, she is prepared to, like, do a bunch of bad shit and, like, deal with the consequences later. And, like, she's prepared to, like, work with Ulf for the time being, and then, like, when he's no longer useful, deal with him and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean we all have to be. Like, obviously, she's come from a pretty, like, brutal like situation in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And doing the most extreme, efficient,
Yeah.
effective thing will be always done, even if it's pretty.
Yeah.
Not that. I think this is cool.
Yeah, it's a good idea.